Ooh, hello. Right. Then let's get this shindig underway. 3, 2. On this week's episode, we recap the Game Awards. It's a disappointing chapter for a West Side Story, and Netflix says, "See you, Space Cowboy." All this and more as we once again delve into the pop culture cosmos. And we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. This is Gerald Glasser from Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our shows. And if you can, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do anything that you can to support us right here at the Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, Game Source, Humanican Media, and of course, everything that we do here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, because we are the #1 tabletop RPG streamer on Facebook. So catch all of our games all week long at Facebook at Pop Culture Cosmos. Plus, you can catch the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every day right here at Facebook at Pop Culture Cosmos. But it wouldn't be a Pop Culture Cosmos without my good friend. He is our own Matrix Awakens from Humanica Media. You got to go ahead and catch everything that he's doing today at popculturecosmos.com, plus his great things that he does as part of the Pop Culture Cosmos, including his great shows, Topic Eclipse, and the Super PS Games Cast, plus his amazing book, Congratulations, You Suck, which you can get right now at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. It is my good friend. It is Josh Peterson. What's up, man?
Hey, just sitting here trying to enjoy the Christmas season a little bit, but finding that I am far too busy to enjoy any of it. So
I hear you.
just taking it in stride, you know?
I hear you indeed, my friend. But we are going to go ahead and knock out another great hour of pop culture content. We truly appreciate everyone around the world that listens to us on radio and podcast outlets worldwide for joining us. Got a lot to go take in, got a lot to gather in there for this week. My friend has only got a couple weeks left with us before he has to go on paternal leave. So I want to make it enjoyable as I can for him because we've got some great conversations. Before we go ahead and talk about anything else, and we set up everything else for today, including talking about the box office weekend, which had some disappointing results, Netflix canceling a very divisive show in Cowboy Bebop, and the internet has really wreaked havoc on that. Talking a little bit about what's coming up this week with The Witcher and Spider-Man and MacGruber, two major deaths in pop culture, and the Game Awards. Of course, we're going to recap that. I want to go ahead and hear your thoughts on Halo Infinite because you had a chance to spend some time with it. So let me know your thoughts, my friend, on Halo Infinite.
I really like this game. I don't know, it has that when you were playing the first Halo game. Okay, first of all, let me just break down some things, all right? The opening missions really cool. It really does feel like a bigger game, like all the linear aspects of what happened before. I know they started to open up a little bit with Halo 4. Halo 5 became a little more linear, but they had talked about this game being a lot more open, and they really did deliver on that point. Playing it, it's fun. It's not a 10. I think it's deserving of the 9s it's getting, though. I mean, it just, even though it's so great, it still feels like something's missing from it. But having had a chance to play it, they do a good job, like, narratively too, like making you start the game, you're floating through space. They give you a brief, like, introduction to the fight with, like, Atriox and all that, an introduction to the Banish. You get picked up, and they just, like, give you little crumbs, throughout the story, without really, like, giving you all the detail. They don't spoil it for you. They keep you clinging to that narrative as the game progresses. I'm about 3 hours in right now. It looks like it's. I'm someone who likes to do all like the side quests and stuff, so it's probably gonna take me.
You have that story OCD, as you said.
Yeah, exactly. So it's probably gonna take me a long time to get through this game. I mean, I'm sure I've heard people are playing through in like 7 to 8 hours, but it's probably gonna take me anywhere from like 12 to 16. But okay, I'm sorry. I'm going off the chains here. I'm just excited to go back to Halo, and you get into this first level where you're going through this ship trying to free yourself from this Star Wars like tractor beam. The ship itself is huge. There's like all these places you can go, all these enemies coming at you. I'm playing it on normal right now just because I don't have the time. I'll probably go back through and do heroic and legendary next, but I want to enjoy it for what it is first. But it's still challenging. There's a lot of places to go. The ship is huge that you start out with. Like those opening missions, I don't know where. Like on Kotaku, they're saying that like it's not, they're not good or they're stale or whatever. But I thought they were great. And there's enemies coming at you from all sides. There's debris flying all over the place. It's a very, very active level. So you go through that.
Tell you what.
What's up?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, you go through all that, and like it's fun. You do those first two parts. Like one of them, you're floating in space. Like it's a genuinely good build up to those moments where you actually come out onto the ring. So once you get on the ring, they have the maps divided up into sections, and you can.
It's called Zeta Halo, isn't it?
Zeta Halo, yeah. Like at this moment, I don't really know much about it. I know that it's broken, right? And you picked up this new AI, and she was supposed to delete Cortana, but something happened, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. But you go. The coolest part about this so far is that you're going. The map is broken it up into pieces, so it's like it's open world, but it's not like super open world. Like it's not. You don't have the freedom to go anywhere you want to right away. You have to kind of stick within the confines of where the game lets you go at first. So you go to this place, and they have all these little side quests, and you can like defeat these the Covenant, not Covenant. Sorry, you defeat the Banished at their outpost. You can go rescue UNSC soldiers, and they'll follow you into battle. So it makes it easier to fight these people at these outposts. And as you go, there's like random Banished spread out throughout the map. You can destroy all the comm towers where there's like propaganda coming through. There's a lot of extra stuff on here, and the rewards for doing this stuff is you get data pads that help uncover more of the story, and you also get these Spartan cores, which lets you upgrade your armor. So going out the gate, how in like Halo 2 and 3, like your shield is feels like it's powerful, right? Like it takes a lot of bullets to really get that, In this one, your shield is not powerful. You have to get these Spartan cores, and it helps you build up your shield. So, anyways, that's about where I'm at. My favorite part, though, about this game, like I do love the grappling hook. It kind of lets you swing around like Spider-Man. Like it makes
you and everybody else that has been playing it.
Yeah, it really does make a lot of things that would be hard to get easier to get to. Like it with the exception of these chunks of the map that are closed off because you have to activate bridges to go across to them, and that's a progression thing. But you really can go anywhere. You don't have to go. It makes the map that much more traversable because you don't have to go through the paths that are laid out for you. You can like climb over mountains and stuff. So that's really cool. But I will say my favorite part about this game so far is that it's beautiful. Like it feels like I'm walking around this like natural, I don't know, like a what do we call it? Like a state park, where there's like big trees and everything, and like you reach the top of these cliffs and the soundtrack plays. You know how like they did that in Skyrim, like when you got to the top of a mountain or you're in this like calm lush meadow, this like really calming music plays and just makes you feel really good. Like that's what Halo Infinite does, and I really appreciate that. Anyways, I'm sorry, my review thus far is all over the place, but like I'm enjoying my time with this game, and it feels good to go back. I am hoping that as we go on, the narrative is going to be satisfying because the gameplay delivers, the soundtrack delivers. Like it's truly a great game. I think the only thing that could ruin it for me at this point is how good the story is when it's done.
If you have any thoughts out there on Halo Infinite, I know that's been out in the wild, the campaign, for about a week now. Please let us know, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. We'd love to hear your feedback on everything that's going on with Master Chief, Zeta Halo, the whole 9 yards, Banished, everything else included in there. Please let us know your thoughts on Halo Infinite at Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook, Twitter, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, all over. Plus, of course, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Want to give a big shout out to our good friend and former guest on the show. He's always welcome back as well, Einar Haraldson. Want to give you a big shout out, my friend, and wish you luck on your latest picture that you are a part of. So, everyone out there, please check out No Time to Think when it hits theaters and on VOD. Please go ahead and check it out. He has a good role in it, and he's very excited about that upcoming project. So, please go ahead and check out the movie when it rocks Switzerland and worldwide to theaters and VOD. But we've got a great show to talk about, including the latest box office reports, my friend. I want to ask you this. Here we go again, my friend, with something outside of the box, outside of the superhero tropes that didn't perform again in this pandemic box office that would normally, most likely, be a pretty good hit. Because you've got Steven Spielberg. You've got a retelling of a classic, very popular movie musical. And you also have a movie that has garnered tremendously good reviews. You think you put all that together in the past, this would have probably gotten 30, 50, maybe even 70, 60 to 70 million dollars domestically and about maybe over 100 million dollars worldwide in its first weekend at the box office. Unfortunately, my friend, in today's box office where adults are just not seeing these type of movies, these mid-tier movies that are just not bringing audiences, again, we have a situation where a movie that deserves more love is just not getting it. It came in at a disappointing $10.5 million domestically, and it's not earning a whole lot more worldwide. I want to say that this is really disappointing, the fact that a movie you and I covered earlier this year, a musical, In the Heights, which had controversy with it. It was well reviewed, but it had a lot of controversy with it. That earned more in its first weekend than this. So I want to hear your thoughts on what's just not connecting with audiences on these type of movies. Maybe it's musicals. I'm not sure. I don't know what's going on with it, but and here's another movie that could have, in a different limelight and a different time frame, could have really done well, but unfortunately just fell flat.
I know we talked about this before In the Heights. Like these musicals, they have more hoops to jump through than like your standard film, because if you look at the audience that it caters to, like there's more expectations outside the normal, like does it have a good plot, or how is the cinematography and editing. Like there's more hoops to jump through. It's like, how is it casted? How is the music performed? How do the actors interact with each other? How is the stage? How's the lighting? Like I'm teaching about this in class. Like we talk about the elements of drama. Like what is Aristotle's 6 elements of what makes a good drama? It's like technique, acting, stage setting, performance. Like there's all these other things that musicals are, they get judged very heavily on. And I think that In the Heights suffered from this, I think mainly because of the controversy surrounding the casting, which was really unfortunate. But, looking at West Side Story, not only does it have to deal with this stuff from being a musical, it's also an adapted classic, and it's a what was I going to say? I just totally lost
Well,
my
it has
train of
Steven
thought.
Spielberg. I mean, it's been noted by critics that it's actually dealt with the retelling of the story in a proper fashion and actually fixed a lot of the issues that was wrong with the first one.
Right.
It has no controversy, and it comes out in a week where it is the only challenger to itself, because Encanto's been out several weeks and everything else has been out several weeks, and everybody else is geared up for Spider-Man this coming week. So
Right.
this basically had a week to itself, and unfortunately barely beat Encanto, and that's just not a good thing, man.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and here's to be honest with you. I know we always talk about marketing. Like, I didn't even know this movie came out this weekend. Like, I knew that it was coming out. I was like, oh hey, they're doing a remake of West Side Story. But outside that, I haven't seen any trailers, haven't seen any release dates, haven't seen any banners. Like, I've seen literally nothing talking about this movie. So perhaps that might be an issue that we're looking at here. I don't know. I do plan on watching it. I really do want to see it, and I want to watch In the Heights still, and I still
You
want
and I
to,
both.
and I still want to see that Andrew Garfield movie that just came out where he's
Tick, tick, boom.
yeah. So I don't know. There's a lot there that I'd like to see, and I do like West Side Story. I've seen the original. I haven't gotten to see it live. That'd be cool, but I'm a big fan of Spielberg, and from what I saw in the trailers, it looks neat. I don't know. Maybe it's suffering from being what it having being an adaptation of something in these like times where everything has like an agenda. I don't know. Like it just seems weird to me though that people aren't really digging this film. I don't even know how to look at it. And it's possible that's just because it is something in the theaters that's not a big franchise. Maybe it's suffering from that, but I don't know. It's I want to watch it now more than ever so that I can kind of gauge like what are the flaws with this movie.
I mean, it's just if it's not an event film, people are just not going to it. It's just
Exactly.
apparent in the
It's
days and age of pandemic, they're just not
right.
making the effort to go to the theater for it, and that's a shame because what House of Gucci is probably the only non-huge event film I've seen in the past few months really to get any kind of foothold, and that was only for a short period of time before it is now underneath 10 million grossings as far as because it earned a lot in its first week as far as over $20 million and then it's fallen flat from there. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about any of these mid-tier movies, these horror movies, low budget that always earned a big opening. All these movies that were basically are the foundation of what the box office is all about.
Yeah.
They're not hitting, and all you have left is just the event movies and the superhero movies that they're the only ones that are earning any kind of money at the box office. They're the only ones right now that people are actually going out to see,
Yeah.
and that's to me is a shame.
Yeah, and you know what might be another issue, and like I know this is kind of a varies based on the individual, but I'm thinking that this might just not be a good weekend for movies to come out because like we're in this period in between Thanksgiving and Christmas, right? Everybody's working, there's Christmas parties, kids have events, like my kids just had a Christmas program this past week. Like there's just so many things going on, and I don't know if like this is the weekend where people are going to go see movies. Like I'm curious to know what the box office numbers will be next weekend because it's we're getting closer to Christmas or as the holiday weekend
Well, next
approaches.
weekend's going to be huge because Spider-Man's
Spider-Man,
coming out,
yeah.
and you got to spend that those $1,000 eBay tickets.
Seriously,
That's when
man.
people are going to cash them in.
Still can't believe that happened. But yeah, I mean it could be a number of factors. Like I don't I don't know, it's hard to say that it's not doing well because it's not good because there could be other factors there, but then again I haven't seen it yet, so I can't really say like, oh,
I
hey,
mean, it's
this
got an
movie's
86 on Metacritic, man.
yeah,
Not much
it's
more you can ask from it. And,
y-
and it's got Steven Spielberg as the headline director, who
right.
had said last week was the only real director you could put in front of it. Maybe Clint Eastwood, and it would draw an audience
Yeah.
because, they're just such a name value. But yeah, I
Yeah,
guess
we're
there
just
is no guarantees right now.
right. We're in just a weird time right now where it's hard to say that a movie is flawed because the issue with the poor box office returns could just be the fact that nobody's going to the movies to watch these. It's not like, oh, hey, that actor sucks or like is really poorly written or something like that. It might just be the fact that people are not going to see these types of movies, and that's why it's doing so bad.
What are your thoughts out there on the latest episodes from the box office? What are your thoughts out there on the latest news coming from the box office and the disappointing returns initially for a West Side Story? Maybe West Side Story will click with audiences the rest of this month. Like Josh says, maybe when people have more free time on Christmas break and whatnot, maybe people will catch it. But the initial offerings for Steven Spielberg's very highly appreciated by critics West Side Story is underwhelming to say the least. Please share us your thoughts on why this happened and why no one seemed to make an effort to go really catch this great film. Something I do want to go ahead and catch myself. I'll probably catch it, on VOD. I think that once it hits VOD, it could see a revival then. And with Disney and 20th Century Fox, I think the question now comes: do you put it on Disney Plus or Hulu? I'm certainly thinking that Disney Plus it needs to go on sooner rather than later. But share us your thoughts on the disappointing box office weekend. Please let us know. Popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. There's still so much more to talk about on today's program, my friend. We're talking. I'm going to tell you right now, the biggest news story of the week and the most talked about on the internet was something we've talked about over the past couple of weeks, and that's Cowboy Bebop. I mean, you had your thoughts on it. I shared mine on it. You said for you it was worth the watch up until the last episode. With me, I thought it was a good watch all the way through. I thought it was very, the word coming out very divisive amongst fans to individuals who hadn't or weren't familiar with the anime. It just seems like it was just this divisive thing, and critics were really not, overall not very favorable of it. Some liked it, most didn't like it, but the show itself had been watched by 74 million viewers. So you can't argue with that. Now, maybe the decisions that came from Netflix stem off the fact that they weren't watching it all the way through, but Netflix decided this week to cancel Cowboy Bebop after only being out and available for a little over 3 weeks. I want to hear your thoughts on this, my friend, because you, again, are more familiar with the anime than I am. This is something that I'm really finding disappointing that they're not giving this a second season. I thought, again, I am very high on this show. I thought it was really good. It had some flaws. I thought the actors, especially Mustafa Shakir and Daniela Pineda, were extremely well placed as far as for their characters. I thought they were outstanding as Jet Black and Faye Valentine. John Cho, he was all right. Take it or leave it on
Had
that
his
one.
moments.
I think that was probably an issue. I heard like old guy cosplaying and things of that nature as far as jokes continuously on that one. But Cowboy Bebop for me was a very good experience all the way through. I was interested all the way through. I understand that people at the same time were loving Arcane, the League of Legends series, which has earned tremendous praise and a season 2 renewal from Netflix right away. But I'm just very saddened because there is so much reaction on the internet. There's nothing that has equaled it in the past few days in regards to this. So I want to hear your thoughts on Netflix canceling Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, okay, so as I'm watching this show, I started to like it a little bit more with every episode. There's some places where it dragged, but for the most part, it was not an adaptation of the anime as much as it was like a retelling of those stories. And from that point of view, I really appreciated that. Like I appreciated in the anime, Jet Black gets his time to shine a little bit, but in this one they really like rounded out his character and his struggles with his daughter and with the ex-wife, and like I really found that stuff interesting with like how his partner.
Mustafa Shakir was really good. I
Yeah.
cannot stress how impressed I was with him.
Yeah, one of my favorite aspects of the show was how they went into detail about what happened to him, and how his partner knew that he was innocent, or not his. I think it was his not his ex partner, but his the guy
It
who's
was his ex partner as a cop.
yeah, the guy who stole his wife, right? The
Yeah.
was knew that Jet was innocent, but he wanted his wife, so he played.
No, the ex partner betrayed him in
No,
an
no,
extra
I
episode.
know, but the
Yeah.
guy who stole his wife was also a
Yes,
cop.
but they
He
worked together at the police office.
Yeah,
Yes.
this guy knew that Jet didn't do what he was being accused
Yeah.
of, but he didn't stand up for him because he was in
Didn't say
love.
anything.
He wanted his wife, and like that was
Yeah.
something that was really interesting to me because I wanted to see how that played out as the show went on. Like, does he get his revenge? And then at the end, they left him in that spot with like his daughter calling this guy dad, and making him just feel so bad about himself. So like I was interested in seeing more about that. Um, Overall,
They
though,
fleshed out Faye
they
Valentine's
fleshed out
character.
Faye Valentine. Like I wanted to see more about where she came from. Like there's a lot of things in the cartoon that you like wonder about, or the anime, I'm sorry, that you wonder about, and they don't really like fully flesh out because the focus of the anime is the story of Spike and Vicious, which rounds out pretty well in the end. But in the show, I don't know, it was good up until that last episode, and they took those creative liberties. They made Julia want to take over the syndicate. They tied up Vicious. They made
Which I like because it gives Julia something to do, or would have given Julia something to do in season 2.
Yeah, but it also feels like it would have been just like a rehashing of the same story in season 2. Like it would have been cool to have a bigger force in the universe in the Syndicate. But anyways, we're never going to know where the show would have gone from this point
Well, that's
because
what I want to
it's
ask you.
hmm.
I mean, 74 million people did view this. If Netflix just releases the rights and cancels it, technically that makes it available to any other outlet out there or network or anything of that nature to go ahead and pick it up with Tomorrow Studios. So I ask you, could this or should this see the light of day? I think it should, but I don't think it will on some other platform. I think maybe an Amazon or another outlet should pick this up simply because of the fact that so many people actually took the time to see it.
Yeah, and here's the biggest point though. Like at right now, that's risky because you have so many people like talking about. It's very divided, like you said. You have a faction
But
of
it's
people.
talked about. No, there's
It's
no other show in the
it
past few months
is,
that have had more.
but now you're taking a show that is based on a beloved franchise and you're giving it a season 2, which it has not even gotten in the anime. And so, like, you have the ability to either make or break the way people view this property. And I think that that's going to be the tricky part if somebody ever picks this up. Like, you are literally holding a huge card that is already doomed to fail based on like people saying, "Oh no, don't adapt this, leave it alone." And that's why I think Akira has gone through so many hoops over the years, is because people are afraid to touch it.
Yeah, but
It's a
Netflix
holy
is going to be
grail.
doing One Piece and other anime properties in here as far as live action anime adaptations. I mean, come on, man. This is something that you can't buy this kind of press, and it took them getting canceled in order to get this kind of reaction out of people, because this is not something where like 10 or 20 people or you see a few likes or dislikes or tears. You're seeing tens, hundreds of different reactions on our post this week at Facebook at Pop Culture Cosmos. It is by far and away the most reacted to post of anything I did this past week.
Yeah, yeah, and I've been getting pop-up or notifications of people commenting on them, and yeah, it's what's the most interesting part about this to me is the fact that it was canceled so soon after the
Yes.
show came out. Like I've never seen a show be canceled the week after it comes out. Like that was something that just it blew my mind. Like that maybe something went on behind the scenes. I don't know, but everyone's blaming it on like woke culture or just the anime adaptation. Don't touch the classics. Like there's all these different excuses going around the internet about why it got canceled, but I feel like just because of the speed it was canceled at, there's maybe something else going on behind the scenes. Maybe there's a contract issue where Netflix wasn't allowed to make material past the first season based on the a contract with whoever made the with the company that made the original show. I don't know. It seems it's very interesting, and I'm curious if because of all this publicity, Netflix will go back on their go back and say, oh, okay, well maybe we will make a second season, or if somebody else will pick it up. But
I'm curious. I would, if I was Amazon or another outlet, Hulu or someone that can post that kind of edgy stuff that's out there that does run that type of edgy stuff, I would
yeah,
seriously consider it. Absolutely
oh for
seriously
sure,
consider it. Even if it's terrible or if it's just another season of it, just to get that kind of reaction. I
yeah.
mean, because you're talking at least even half that kind of interest into it will bring new viewers
And
to your
people,
outlet.
and even the people who are like, "Oh, it's gonna be so bad," they'll watch it just so that they can comment on it. So you're still
Yeah,
getting a
just it's like
viewer.
a car crash. You just can't
Yeah,
stop watching it.
right.
But I want to hear your thoughts out there. You've heard us, but I want to hear you on Netflix's cancellation of Cowboy Bebop. Are you sad or are you glad that Netflix finally, really, really, actually quickly pulled the plug on Cowboy Bebop after only 3 weeks on the air?
Can
Please let us know, popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. And let us know if you're going to go ahead and catch the entirety of season one now that it's, you already know its fate. And if you want to see it pop up somewhere else, please let us know, popculturecosmos at yahoo.com.
let me
Couple quick things.
just sorry, one more thing. Let me just close off by saying like the show was it didn't feel, if you're on the fence about it, it didn't feel like you were watching an anime adaptation until the very last episode. So at least like give it a shot because it was a pretty decent it was a pretty decent season.
I thought it was. I
Yeah.
thought it was indeed. But before we hit the break, but before we hit the break, my friend, I want to go ahead and cover just a few things before we hit the break because we've got the back half hour devoted to the Game Awards. I want to hear your thoughts on this real quick. Spider-Man: No Way Home, The Witcher, MacGruber. I wonder which of these three properties that are coming out on the 17th is going to get the most attention. We know about Spider-Man: No Way Home, my friend, but I know you said you wanted to go ahead and share some thoughts on The Witcher season 2 coming up the 17th on Netflix. Sorry, MacGruber on Peacock, but what can I say?
Yeah, we're all dying to see MacGruber. It's gonna be like the best show of the year.
Yeah,
Everybody's like ready to give it a bunch of nominations, and it's the
yeah.
cat's in the bag, you know. Um, yes. So The Witcher, I have seen that some early reviews are coming out, and early reviews for episodes like 1 through 5 or 6 have been given a 7 by IGN. And not that I really trust things that IGN says because they've gotten really snobby with their reviews. And I don't like review culture anyways. But um I I don't know, man. Like I don't really have any expectations for The Witcher season 2. Like I've loved what they've put out so far, and I like the anime, and I just like the story. I don't know. To me it feels like Lord of the Rings. Like a lot of people hated The Hobbit, but I was just happy to go back to that world.
It's got a 75 overall on Metacritic, so people are just saying it's pretty good. Yeah,
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
not great, but
So
pretty good. I mean, and I think that's all it needs to do because it has such a huge following. That's all it needs to do. I mean,
right.
and just like that on the HBO Max, terrible reviews. It's getting like a 56 right now,
That's
but
the
it
Sex
is
and the
the
City
most
one, right?
watched.
Is that?
That's the Sex and the City reboot,
Yeah. Okay.
but that is the most popular show ever to debut on HBO Max. So people sometimes just like you said, critic culture, they'll bypass it, but this is getting not too bad reviews for season 2. So I'm expecting good things, and as Henry Cavill's going to brood all over the place, and we're going
Right.
to see a lot of good things from him, and he's going to slice up a few CGI monsters, and there you go, man. There you go.
That's
What
all
more
you.
can you ask?
That's all you can ask for. Yeah. I mean, as for expectations, I don't have any expectations. I think that's what excites me the most about The Witchers, because like I don't. I've I'm about. I'm about to start book 3, but like for the most part, I just enjoy being in that world. I don't really care what happens or how it happens.
What are your thoughts out there on the upcoming week for Spider-Man: No Way Home? I know a lot of people are excited to see. They've got their tickets already in hand. Maybe some people even bought those tickets on eBay for $1,000 plus. We'll see what happens there, but that's coming up this weekend. Plus, on the 17th, you've got The Witcher season 2. That's coming up on Netflix. I know a lot of people are hugely excited for that one. And then, of course, you've got MacGruber coming up on the 17th as well on Peacock. Unfortunately, I know who's going to run number 3 on that one. But if you have any thoughts on any of these properties coming up this week, please let us know. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. When we come back, we're going to be talking everything that we saw in as best detail as we can in 30 minutes in regards to the Game Awards and pay respects to two great icons of pop culture on the back end of the show as well. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. And we're back with Pop Culture Cosmos. It's Josh Peterson and me, Gerald Glassford, coming right back at you here. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Everybody out there, appreciate what you do for us everywhere around the world on Pop Culture Cosmos, wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, all the fantastic radio stations that play our show. We are indebted to you for doing so. My friend, it was Jeff Keighley's Game Awards. And I know for years I have kind of razzed and teased and had articles that I wrote about in regards to Jeff Keighley and what his vision was and how he thought himself as bigger than the video game industry himself, itself, and just the whole 9 yards and just the stuff that he was doing. I wasn't really a fan of it, but the Game Awards is something that has grown from such a small outlet to something that I think yesterday, I think that the Game Awards this past Friday was a culmination of what he had thought about with Sting and the Imagine Dragons coming by and performing. You've got a whole 4-hour ensemble. You've got dozens of world premiere debuts, and of course, you got the awards everybody's talking about as well. I'm going to give him a compliment in saying that finally I can say that he has earned my respect, and this was a job well done.
Yeah, so I didn't actually get to watch the awards itself. So I watched the recap. You know, I went back through, read the articles, saw who got what. I did hear good things about it though, and from what I understand, you know, the people I've talked to, it sounds like this has become, you know, as far as like game announcements goes, has become the new E3 for them. Like the experience of finding out what's coming out, like they're getting more out of it than they did E3, which is cool. You know, it's awesome, and yeah, it's definitely become something. You know, it wasn't much of something before, but now it's slowly been building over the years, and now it's become like a very premier thing.
Well, I've got the whole entire list of what was covered, so we'll cover it in as best detail as we can over the course of the next half hour. I want to go ahead and start off with the Halo TV series and Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie announcements. Your thoughts on each? The Halo TV series was Paramount Plus coming next year, minute long. Was all right. What I saw, of course, you saw the iconic Master Chief at the end, and then Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is looks like more like the same with obviously new characters from the game series that they're introducing to the movie audience. Your thoughts on both, man?
Okay, so for Sonic the Hedgehog, it yeah, I mean it looks like it's more of what we got with the first one, except they
Yeah.
got Tails in this and Knuckles and Robotnik's back. I have a feeling that this one's going to be more like cartoony than the last one was, just based on the fact that it's not telling an origin story. It's not introducing. It's not developing like human characters anymore. It seems to revolve more around the video game characters. So I have a feeling it's not going to be as good as the first Sonic movie was, but looking at the trailer, it looks like it's going to be still, a pretty entertaining flick to take the kids to and watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it would be definitely a movie that people will probably go out of the way to see because the first one was for a time the most popular movie just before everything fell apart in 2020 in regards to the pandemic. So I know a lot of people are looking forward to seeing Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie, which is one of the biggest video sequel to one of the biggest video game movies worldwide. But Halo TV series coming next year to Paramount Plus. I know you and I are going to catch it.
Yeah, so that was interesting. It looked exactly how I thought it would. Kind of the way they portrayed the Spartan or Master Chief in the Forward Unto Dawn series, that little series of short films that came out. Yeah, I mean, I don't. I'm curious, like, where in the Halo universe it's going to cover. Are they going to do like origin story of Master Chief, or is this going to be post Infinite? But I haven't gotten to the end of Infinite yet, so I don't know if that's possible. But um, yeah, I mean, it looks cool. It looks like something. I don't know. I mean, I don't hate what I saw, so it's definitely something I am going to be tuning into when I get the opportunity. That's supposed to drop this year or next year?
Next year,
Okay.
supposedly, but we'll see. We'll wait and see what happens there. But it is a Halo TV series coming to Paramount Plus. The Matrix in preparation and the marketing, as they mentioned in the demo itself, has its own Matrix Awakens with the Unreal Engine 5 experience. Did you get a chance to check out some of this? Yes, there is. It's basically one long extended cutscene trying to show off the Unreal Engine 5, and then the rest of it, the game itself or the experience itself, is a basically a walking simulator that you can make extreme adjustments to as far as the lighting, the graphics, the detail. You can play with it at nauseum because of the fact it's just a showcase for Unreal Engine 5, and it's a walking simulator within the confines of a cityscape of the Matrix. So I want to hear your thoughts on this. I thought it was interesting. I'd love to see a real game made out of this. Unfortunately, they'll probably never do that, but I thought it was cool enough anyways.
Yeah, it's a neat little gimmick. I mean, it kind of reminded me of back in the early 2000s when like new metal bands were putting out PlayStation 2 games inside their albums. Like you can put a separate disc and play around with different things. Like it's innovative and it's cool. I haven't had a chance. I mean, From what I mean, there was a good Matrix game that came out a while ago, but yeah, I mean, it does look cool. I mean, it's been a while since we've had a Matrix game, and I guess the what happens with anything Matrix related is going to rely heavily on how the Matrix 4 performs.
It was so funny because remember over 10, actually in the early 2000s, there was the Enter the Matrix game that sold huge
Mm-hmm.
initially, but was really reviled by critics. And once everybody realized the game actually was trash, that they stopped buying it. But
Yeah.
the first initial couple weeks were huge for that game. It's so funny because it had the tried its best to do the bullet time, and you're trying to do it on a PS2 or Xbox. That's the original Xbox. That
Yeah.
was kind of funny, but yeah, that takes me back. But let's go rapid fire on this as far as the trailers are concerned. So I'm going to go ahead and do as best I can a job on this. So you tell me your thoughts, man. Tunic was I think it's an indie game that's coming out that looks like
Yeah.
a really cool, impressive Zelda
It's like
clone
a
with a
yeah.
fox.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so tell me your thoughts on that, man.
Yeah, it looks cool. I mean, they've been showing not trailer. They've been showing like footage and pictures from this game for years,
This
and
was actual gameplay footage that was in there. So
yeah, like this has been a game that's been in development. I want to say for the past 4 or 5 years, because I remember seeing footage of this like a long, long time ago.
it looks
Um,
really good. That's really interesting.
yeah, yeah, most definitely. It's something that I am interested in checking out, and it's something that people who have been following the game for this long are still keen to play it. So, yeah, it is something I want to play. Did they give a release date for that?
I think it said March. There's a lot of games on this list that are coming out in March of 2023,
Yeah,
or at least scheduled to. You know how that
2023 or
goes.
2022?
2022,
Okay.
2022.
Yeah,
So yes, a
2022 is
lot of
going to be
these
packed.
games are coming out in March 2022
Yeah.
right now. But you and I both know that's subject to detail, subject to delay. It's or not. So we'll see what happens, man. On those, I really don't want to go in detail on release dates, especially in this industry, because they never seem to hold to them. So I want to go ahead and just give that caveat that yes, a lot of these games are scheduled for March or right around the spring, and I'm just going to say that they're tentatively scheduled for that around that time for a lot of these. Some of them are mentioned to as far as 2023 and beyond, and some of them didn't even give a release date. So, that's again something we'll go ahead and monitor as these games pop up or get on the radar even more. But I want to go ahead into King of Fighters 15. I saw a cutscene into an actual gameplay of it. I was not as impressed, and I was even less impressed with it once I saw another fighting game, which we'll talk about here in a bit. But King of Fighters 15, I mean, it's got its own niche of fans, but as
Yeah.
a fighting game, I don't consider it in the upper echelon of fighting
No,
games.
definitely not. Like I'm surprised this franchise is still around. You know, there are people who like it. It's much like Virtue Fighter. Like I didn't realize Virtue Fighter was still a thing, but there seems to be a decent following for it. So teach their own, you know. King of Fighters is definitely something I probably won't be playing, but I do respect the fandom.
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that's coming, I think, from the folks who brought you the Friday the 13th game. It's
Mm-hmm.
going to be something that I think is going to be in that similar vein where it's a group of kids or a group of people like battling against the Texas Chainsaw guy himself and vice versa. You can play from either the Texas Chainsaw Massacre guy or the victims, vice versa. So I want to hear your thoughts on this real quick before we head on to another game.
Yeah, I mean Friday the 13th was highly successful, and I forget there's some ridiculous amount of hours logged into that game. But if the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is anything like it, I think that it's bound for success. It has to be.
I hope so. I mean, like you said, Friday the 13th was a big success for a game that came out of nowhere. So, yeah, looking forward to some good things with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I know there's a pretty good market already. Looking forward to going ahead and seeing this game come out. Next on the list was the game that I really liked the kind of look and feel of it was Homeworld 3 with some really cool space fighting and battleship runs where you're going ahead and just these in the battle spaceship type deal where you're fighting against a lot of other fighters and then obviously trying to attack the space, big space battleships after that and making them explode. So I kind of liked what I saw from Homeworld 3.
Yeah,
It's got a really nice design.
yeah, it looks cool. I'm not a big fan of like the space fighter games, but this game does look cool. I guess is it the big question here? Is it going to be one of those games that like slowly disappears off everybody's radar, or is it going to come out and be as good as the trailers look?
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Agree with you on that one. Next after that was a game based off The Expanse, which just posted its start of its last and final season. And I'm hoping to get Marcus de la Garza back on. Been talking with him. He's really excited for it. So I'm hoping to get him back on to share his thoughts on the final season of The Expanse. But he was really excited to hear about this game that's coming out. Your thoughts, real quickly, on The Expanse? I mean, they just showed a cutscene, or I don't even know if it's a cutscene. They just showed kind of like a commercial based off of the lead character and protagonist. So it may not even be a cutscene that's eventually included in the game, but at least it tells everybody out there, hey, we're working on something beyond The Expanse finally ending its run here in a bit on Amazon.
Yeah, I think that it's going to do well among the fan base, but I don't think it's going to be pulling anybody new into it. It kind of reminds me of, what was it on Sci-Fi, that Defiance, right? And that was a
Yeah,
game that came out, and it came
with the
out to
game, yeah.
yeah, it came out to decent reviews, but it was not accessible, like very accessible for people who hadn't watched the show, and you're not going to find people who are willing to sit down and watch the show just so they can understand what's going on in the game.
Next thing I got on the list for you, my friend, was Babylon's Fall from Square Enix, which is coming out supposedly in March as well. One of the games I talked about. It's a Dark Souls like 4-player co op from what I'm seeing. I mean, it looked okay. I wasn't really super impressed with it, but because it's a Square Enix release, I think every time something comes out from Square Enix, people just go ahead and bypass it unless it says Final Fantasy on the front. I want to hear your thoughts on Babylon's Fall.
This was a game I've actually been following for a while because I was
Oh,
interested.
really?
Well, I mean, I've been interested in playing it. Like anytime a 4-player co-op game comes out that's not a shooter, like I'm intrigued. Because like I like those type of games. This one was weird to me because like I was excited about it and like it looks okay. It looks like your typical 4-player co-op game with swords and stuff, but what really killed it for me is the fact that you have to always be online to play it. Like
Of course.
you can't. There's no mode where you can play it by yourself, and I think that that's going to be what really turns a lot of people off on this game. And we go back to our favorite 4-player co-op games like Gears and Halo and Borderlands, is the fact that you can always play these games without people if you so choose to do so. And I think that Babylon's always online thing is going to be a boon to it in the end.
Monster Hunter Rise comes out with some DLC, Sunbreak, which is going to be coming out in the summer 2022. More of the same, which is great for Monster Hunter fans, but do you think this is going to get people back into going ahead and playing Monster Hunter Rise?
I mean, I'm sure it's again, I not again, but like I haven't played Monster Hunter Rise, so but it has a fan base. That's the important part. The movie did not kill the franchise, so yes, I think people will go back and play this. How many people? It's hard to say. A lot of people I know do not play DLCs, unless it's something of a game that they are like very passionate about. They'll play the game itself and then they will either trade the game in or never go back to it. And that's why Far Cry has such a weird legacy, because the DLC comes out and people have already gotten rid of the game.
When we come back, we're going to be going really rapid fire on everything else because there was a ton of things that debuted as far as world premiere videos, 4 games coming out, and they showed that at the Game Awards. So we're going to come right back and talk more great games right here on the Pop Culture Cosmos. And we're back with the Pop Culture Cosmos. This is Gerald Glassford along with my good friend, Mr. Josh Peterson, recapping the Game Awards before we head on out. All right, my friend, we're going rapid fire on this because we only got about a little over 10 minutes left. Thirsty Suitors, a Bollywood fighting game with open world elements, kind of like Sunset Overdrive style. Your thoughts on this? Kind of unique, and I'm kind of liking what I'm seeing so far.
Yeah, it looks cool. It looks like something that hasn't been done before. I'm excited to play it. Or not, I don't know if I'm excited to play it, but I'm excited to know more about it.
Evil West, which is a demon style third person six shooter in a Western type protagonist, kind of like looking like a Devil May Cry meets a Western.
Yeah, not too much interest in this one. It's looks okay, but it also looks like kind of cheap.
Have a Nice Death, which is an interesting black and white platformer, which features a kind of little mini death as your protagonist, as a guy who's running around all over trying to, fight evil off or fight death off or fight whatever's going on in this black and white world or universe right there between maybe death and life. Your thoughts on this, real quick?
I also get fans of Cuphead, I'm sure. As for myself, not good at platformers, so I don't know if I'm going to play this one, but it looks intriguing. I am intrigued.
We'll talk about Cuphead here in a little bit. But Planet of Lana, pretty futuristic look. It's a pretty game looking futuristic. It's a futuristic look at a chase between machines and a boy on a mechanical horse, kind of like a side-scrolling type thing. It was very pretty to look at. Your thoughts on Planet of Lana?
Yeah, it looks all right. It kind of reminded me of like a side-scrolling version of Horizon Zero Dawn a little bit, but yeah, it could be cool. I don't know. If a lot of these games that I'm saying are okay, I will probably only play them if they come out on Games Pass.
Persona 4 Arena Ultramax. It looked a lot more fun and looked a lot better than King of Fighters 15. I'm thinking that if it is one of the major fighting game releases of next year when it's expected to come out, I think if there's no more Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter that comes out next year, this could take the marketplace when it comes to fighting games.
Yeah, definitely. It's possible. We haven't heard anything about a Mortal Kombat coming out or any new, um, fighting Street Fighter or whatever. So it's possible.
Well, I'm telling you, my friend, next two I know you're really interested in. Hellblade 2, Sanua Saga. It's very photorealistic as far as the faces and physical detail.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the game, well, we'll see as far as the detail. They did show some gameplay of it, but, this was very impressive from just a graphic standpoint.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so I follow Ninja Theory on Instagram, and you can see they post videos of like the girl Melanie something or other that does the mocap for Sinwa, and like you can see it is very in depth. Like they even put her in costume and paint her face, and they put all the motion cap on her. Like it, they go to great lengths to really like be authentic with this character. And knowing that the first game was 6 hours, and it didn't have as much development time as this one. Like I'm really excited to see like where they're going with this one, how they tackle mental health next in gaming. Like it, I am really like this is probably one of my most anticipated games of 2022.
One of your other games that you're anticipating, although it's not coming until 2023, but it was officially announced, but we all knew it was already coming out. In fact, we've already talked about it on the show, is Alan Wake 2.
Yeah, I've been every year we have our E3 predictions for the past 10 years. I've been saying I want an Alan Wake 2, and lo and behold, it's happening. Microsoft had the rights locked up. Finally, they went back to 504 or 505 games. What's it? Remedy? Sorry,
No,
went back to
Remedy.
Remedy
After Control.
after Control kind of elaborate on what has happened, and boom, Alan Wake 2. And it's supposed to be Remedy's supposed to be one of the most terrifying games ever made, and I think that that's something that has really got me excited because this is the first game was pretty scary as it was. So I mean, what can they do next to really push that envelope?
I got to go even faster on this. Star Wars Eclipse from Quantic Dream. No gameplay, of course, just a fancy cutscene trailer. Your thoughts on Star Wars Eclipse?
Yeah, it could be cool. I mean, I was really excited by Jedi Fallen Order. Quantic Dream doesn't really make like fantastic games, so I don't know how this is going to look, but it's definitely something that I'm intrigued in. I do enjoy me some single player Star Wars games.
Like many other games, it could be more style than substance.
Exactly.
The Lord of the Rings Gollum. No gameplay again, but it's more Gollum.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Tachia, which is a young girl in an open world island setting. I was okay with it. Didn't say, it didn't speak to me one way or the other.
Yeah, and same. Yeah, not really interested.
Star Trek Resurgence. I would love a new Star Trek game, and I was really interested when I first saw this, but by the time the end of the trailer happened, I realized that this doesn't look like the highest of budgets of games. Does this look like it to you?
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's a big budget blockbuster by any stretch of the imagination. But I don't know. I don't. Star Trek is not my thing. You know, I know Big Dog likes it, and he's been playing Star Trek online for a bit, so maybe he'll check it out, and we'll have some thoughts.
Somerville, which is from the Inside and Limbo makers, looks really, really good. This is one of my most anticipated for next year, adding more camera views and perspectives from, even over their other games. Somerville really looks good.
Yeah, yeah. This one um does look great.
Rumbleverse from Epic Games. It's a beat 'em up where you're going against other people and trying to go ahead and beat them up. So it's kind of like Super Smash Brothers in a Fortnite setting. Could this be their next Fortnite?
Yeah, it's possible. I don't think there's going to be a next Fortnite, but it could be. It could be something, man. I don't know. I'm not too interested in it myself, but it could be pleasantly surprising.
Elden Ring, which tells Elden Ring came up next. Elden Ring's next for us. Backstory trailer with no gameplay, just really getting into detail as far as the backstory on it. It was okay. Elden Ring I know was voted the most, I guess, most anticipated game at the Game Awards. I'm not really anticipating it, but I know a lot of people are, especially looking forward to more of the Dark Souls type gameplay.
Yeah, I am interested in playing Elden Ring. Just my fear, like with Demon Souls and Dark Souls, the fact that I'm gonna really love this game, but I'm not gonna be able to finish it because I'm not good enough at video games to do it.
Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2, another pretty much no gameplay, mostly cutscene type deal. It looks good. I know Robbie Ross, who loves the Warhammer series, who I spoke to last week on the Warhammer IP, really is looking forward to this. But it's going to, I think, just meet a niche for those customers and those gamers. But I don't know if it's going to reach out to anybody else.
Yeah, probably not.
Wonder Woman was announced from WB Games. Any interest in that?
Yeah, they didn't really show enough of it to really garner my interest. Traditionally, like the Batman games have been pretty good, so I don't. Maybe it'll be good. I don't know. I want to see more.
Speaking of DC, Suicide Squad kills the Justice League. I mean, it was focusing on battling random enemy monsters, and then the Flash as a mini boss there for you. I kind of like this concept. I'm looking forward to this game.
Yeah, it looks cool. It'll probably get pushed back again, but
Yeah,
who's Rocksteady makes pretty good games, and yeah, it's Rocksteady, right? That's
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, it looks cool. When we'll ever get to play it is anybody's guess, though.
Sonic Frontiers, possible semi-open world game.
Yeah, this one actually looks pretty cool. I've been saying it'd be fun to have a game like this for a long time. And I don't. Not to say that like Sonic Colors was bad. It's just you have to evolve. That's why Mario 64 did so well. They opened up the world a little bit. So I think that having that potential of Sonic Frontiers could really like bring Sonic up to a level not quite where Mario is, but close.
Saints Row Reboot coming out next year. They showed off a little bit of that. It looks fun, but will it have the same charm as the original?
Yeah, who knows at this point. My brother likes that game, so I'll have to talk to him about it.
Destiny 2, The Witch Queen. Will this get people back into doing raids in Destiny 2?
Yeah, I mean, people love Destiny 2, and I know there's a lot of talk going around the internet about Bungie at this current time. So yeah, I mean, I think that anything's better than nothing when it comes to Destiny.
Cuphead in the Delicious Last Course, aka DLC. They go to an island with a lot more havoc. More Cuphead? Is that a good thing? I
Yeah,
think so.
yeah, I think so. People really like that game. It was very ingenuitous game. Cuphead was. So yes, I do think that people will go back to that.
Dune Spice Wars, that was announced as
Eh,
an RTS coming out. I wish it would have been something else as far as I'm
eh.
concerned outside of an RTS. I think it caters to the RTS niche, even if it's good, but it won't really reach and expand beyond that. Your thoughts on Dune Spice Wars?
Yeah, not interested.
A Plague Take Requiem, very Horizon Zero Dawnish. In fact, I saw a couple games that really had that Horizon Zero Dawn vibe, not talking about the next Horizon that's coming out next year. I thought this looked very much like Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah, it does. Has that definitely gives you those feels. It looks all right. I probably won't play it, but could be something for somebody.
Slitterhead, from the creators of Silent Hill,
The
horror game that's coming out.
disappointment that everybody felt knowing that that was not a new Silent Hill game. Did look pretty terrifying though, I gotta say, with that lady with the thing coming out of her mouth, kind of
Yeah.
terrified me.
Why don't they just do Silent Hill? They just
You
finished
would
that. They
think,
just need the
right?
the reboot that they were in process of making. They just need to finish that. But
They need to
that's just
give Nathan Fillion his own game, like a Slither game with Nathan
yeah.
Fillion, based on that movie Slither.
Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, is more Borderlands a good thing? I think you'll say yes.
I absolutely would say yes, and yes, I am looking forward to playing this. You can never have too much Borderlands, but I hope that this is not the skill trees aren't as complicated as Borderlands 3. That kind of ruined that game for me.
Nightingale is an interesting concept, combining 1880s protagonists with portals and fantasy monsters and locations. Your thoughts on Nightingale? That was interesting.
Yeah, I was intrigued by this one. I was trying to find more information on it, but there's not really a lot outside of what was shown at the Game Awards. So this is one I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye on.
About ready to start growing your hair, my friend, because Metal Hellsinger is coming out, and that's a rhythm-based Doom-like shooter with heavy metal music really influencing it. What are your thoughts on Metal Hellsinger? Get your hair started, man. Got to grow the hair.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I already have a hard enough time playing Doom, so I don't know if this is one I'm going to be diving into.
GTFO, which is actually out now on Steam. I'm trying to see if I can get a review copy of it, but Alien-esque style, Left 4 Dead co-op shooter that's out now on Steam. I understand you mostly don't like Left 4 Dead style games, but it has that alien type atmosphere that I think may interest you at least a little bit.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I didn't see this trailer, so I'll have to check it out a little bit more.
Forspoken, a girl from our time teleported to a fantasy world with magical powers and a very Horizon Zero Dawn, again, influenced look. It's a PS5 exclusive that's going to be coming out, I believe, next year is the target date.
Yes, yeah, this is definitely one I do want to check out. It could be really bad, but I'm also, this is one of the games they premiered footage of when the PS5 was coming out, so this is one I do want to check out for sure.
Crossfire is very reminiscent of Battlefield 2049 from Microsoft and Remedy.
Yeah, probably not gonna do this one. This one's a multiplayer game, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
looks like it.
yeah.
Even though, again, they showed you no gameplay. Most of the, no, I would say
This
some of these are learning their lesson and showing gameplay, and still a lot of others are just showing a cutscene
cut.
that will not be part of the actual
Yeah.
end game
Well, and
itself.
I think with Crossfire is that it's got such a big following in the Japanese market, so I think they're just kind of like saying if you like the Japanese people like Crossfire, so I think the American people will like it too, but we'll see what happens with that one.
Have just a couple left, my friend. Arc Raiders, which looks like a multiplayer co-op soldiers versus the machines. Your thoughts on Arc Raiders?
Yeah, no interest in this one.
And then Among Us is coming to VR, which I think is going to be very
Whoa,
interesting.
it's gonna be chaos. Like I think I don't know if I'll play the game, but I think I want to watch videos of people playing the game because it could be very entertaining.
You and I both. Definitely you and I both. But that's what was shown off at the Game Awards. I want to go ahead and close out the Game Awards conversation with, again, most anticipated game was Elden Ring.
Oh, hey man,
There were
hold on. What? Keep talking. Someone's at the door.
Okay, go ahead. And then I want to go ahead and mention real quickly, most anticipated game was Elden Ring. Best esports team, best esports, let me see. Go ahead on esports. Uh, Content creator of the year was Dream. Best multiplayer game was It Takes Two. Best sim strategy game was Age of Empires 4. And, I'm going to go from the start again. Here we go again for our, the winners list of the major categories for the Game Awards. Most anticipated game was Elden Ring. And then you have the best multiplayer game was It Takes Two. Best sim strategy game was Age of Empires 4. Best sports and racing game, no surprise, Forza Horizon 5. Best family game was It Takes Two. Best fighting game was Guilty Gear Strive. Best RPG was Tales of Arise, which I know Josh had said a lot of good things about. Best action adventure game was Metroid Dread for the Nintendo Switch. Best action game, which is different from the best action adventure game, okay, if you can imagine that, is Returnal on the PS5. Innovation in accessibility is Forza Horizon 5. Innovation in accessibility is Forza Horizon 5. Best VR game is Resident Evil 4. Best community support is Final Fantasy 14 Online. Best mobile game was Genshin Impact. Best debut indie game was Kenna Bridge of Spirits. Best indie game was also Kenna Bridge of Spirits, and that game looks really good. So I hope people give that a shot. Best ongoing game is Final Fantasy 14 Online. Games for Impact is Life is Strange: True Colors. The best performance, as far as from a motion capture or voiceover, was Maggie Robertson from Resident Evil Village. And Resident Evil Village was such a great looking game as far as the facial details and the voice acting, and it really helped set the mood for that game. Best audio design was Forza Horizon 5. Best score music was best score was Near Replicant. Best art direction was Deathloop. Best narrative was Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, so that got the best story. I think that was probably well deserved because of the fact people were very impressed by its linear story that it told. Best game direction was Deathloop. Game of the year. This was kind of a surprise. Came out of left field. I think a lot of people were putting their money on Resident Evil Village or Deathloop because Deathloop got a lot of acclaim when it came out in September. But It Takes Two took the top spot for the game of the year. So
That was
it is really
definitely.
so. Your
not
thoughts
seen.
on this? I'm kind of surprised on it, my friend, that It Takes Two earned the top spot. I'm kind of, I know a lot of people love the co-op standpoint. Very very good as far as the co-op action and obviously the coordination and the cooperation you have to have with the other player, whether it's couch co-op or whether it's online co-op. What struck me was the story. Obviously, the story of It Takes Two is about a couple that's leaning towards divorce, and through the game, it builds a relationship back up to where by the time you end it, you're actually in a good place, or it started it the near the ending is leading you into that direction. But the ending obviously is something I don't want to break out if it tells you that the couple ends up staying together or not. I do want to say the annoying book character in it is really annoying. I had a chance to watch a lot of it recently, and I'm just that book character is really annoying. So I thought maybe It Takes Two shouldn't deserve the game of the year, but that's just my assessment right there. Your thoughts on It Takes Two earning game of the year?
Yeah, I mean it's not what I would have given game of the year, but apparently it reached out to a lot of people. Even like Brian Kane said he played it, he's playing it with his wife. So it must do some things, man. I just like I haven't had a chance to play because I don't have people to play it with. But it's hard when a game of the year is a co-op only game because then you don't really. Not to say they shouldn't win, but it's hard for like the average gamer to say like, "Oh, hey, yeah, that was definitely worth the choice." Because I would have given Resident Evil Game of the Year.
I would have actually strayed to Chivalry 2, personally, as the game of the year, as far as it's concerned, had it been even nominated, because I know it's very highly received. Or I know a lot of people are talking about Hitman 3. I know with you, Forza Horizon 5.
Yeah, that didn't get
Yeah, that,
nominated for Game of the Year though. It's just for like the
no,
best
it
soundtrack.
got a lot of small nominations and stuff like that, which I just talked about. But yeah, it didn't get game of the year, which is kind of surprising. But it is what it is. Maybe they should like to shut out sports games and driving games.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, just put it in its own category and leave it as is, which is unfair. But again, that's the Game Awards and recap. If you have any thoughts on it, please, we'd love to hear it. Are you excited about all the trailers or some of the games that have been announced? And also, were you excited for It Takes Two taking a top spot at the Game Awards? Please let us know. Popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. My friend, it's been a great episode. I know my friend, it's been a great episode. We've got Melinda and I talking a lot of great things, including Spider-Man No Way Home that's coming out later this week. We're also going to be talking about The Witcher Season 2, maybe even MacGruber. I'm not sure yet, but definitely Spider-Man and The Witcher, plus so much more on the Friday show. Plus, she wants to go in a little bit more detail on the passing of Anne Rice, the noted author of so many great books, including Interview with a Vampire. I want to hear your thoughts on that. Plus, also, we want to note the passing of Michael Nesmith that also trended worldwide. One of the founding members of the Monkees, and now there's actually, of the four, there's only one alive left with Mickey Dolenz. But my thoughts and prayers go to the families of Anne Rice and and Michael Nesmith of the Monkees, and of course, noted author Anne Rice. My condolences to the families of both. Very, very sad. I know they just finished, Kim and Mickey just finished a tour, which was going to be the last tour most likely for them. It was ultimately the last tour, but it was noted as such and labeled as such. So he got to finish out on a high note, according to his managers. So he's very happy with that before you pass. So our thoughts and prayers to everyone out there that are saddened by the passing of Michael Nesmith from the Monkees and noted author Anne Rice. And I know Melinda wants to talk about it in great deal on the Friday show. So look forward to her thoughts on the passing of Anne Rice. But any last thoughts, my friend, on the way out?
No, I think we have officially covered everything. Also, I was at Target yesterday, and they have reproductions out of Castle Grayskull, and they're huge for $75. So if you're a toy hunter, stop by your local Target.
Now, the recreations of that is probably nowhere near to what the original was, because we saw that. If you get a chance to watch Action Figure Adventure, you get to see what the actual original Castle Grayskull, which was a very much beloved and desired
Well, that
piece
was
or set
y-
by Rob McCallum. So
yeah, and they had Eternia was another one where Jay tried to buy it on one episode and ended up like the
yeah,
guy broke it trying to get it down off the shelf because it was in three pieces. Yeah, they're
yeah.
those they do not make boys play sets like they used to for sure. Like even just the GI Joe flagship or whatever.
I'll tell you what, my friend, though, it's been a great ride indeed. But if you have any thoughts, please let us know as we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture on Facebook right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the Pop Culture Cosmos. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great